and welcome. In this video, we're looking at the Form I-751, Petition to Remove Conditions on Residence. Who can file Form I-751? Form I-751 should be filed by the spouse of a lawful permanent resident or U.S. citizen who has a conditional status. This person's dependent children with a conditional status can also be included on the application, or an independent application can be submitted for the dependent child or children. Dependent children who receive the conditional residence on the same day or within the 90-day period of the date when their conditional parent received their status should be included for removal of conditions on the same application as their parent. However, if a child or children did not receive a conditional status on the same day or within the 90-day period immediately after his or her parent acquired the conditional status, a different application must be filed for that child or those children. How to file Form I-751. This form can be filed either jointly with a spouse or individually. If an applicant is still married, he or she is required to file jointly with the lawful permanent resident or U.S. citizen spouse who they acquired the conditional residence through. Filing should be done within 90 days immediately prior to the date your conditional status expires. This is extremely necessary and important to avoid being out of status and subsequently removed from the United States. Applicants requesting a waiver of the jointly filing requirement may submit I-751 anytime after being granted conditional status. Applicants requesting a waiver of the joint filing requirement should fall in one of 5 categories. Unlike an applicant that's filing jointly with a spouse, these applicants that fall into one of the categories that I'll be discussing shortly can file anytime after receiving their conditional status. The categories include a person who entered the marriage in good faith, but his or her spouse died after. Another category would be a person who entered the marriage in good faith and your marriage ended due to a divorce or annulment. The third category of persons would be a person who entered the marriage in good faith, but you have been battered or subject to extreme cruelty by your petitioning spouse. The fourth category would be where your conditional resident parent entered the marriage in good faith, but you have been battered or subject to extreme cruelty by your parent's lawful permanent resident or U.S. citizen spouse or by your conditional resident parent. The fifth category would be where the termination of your status and removal from the United States would result in extreme hardship. Anyone falling under any one of the 5 categories I mentioned just now would need to request a waiver, and this is included on the form I-751. So you would be required to check the category that's applicable to you. Supporting documents for I-751 include, but not limited to, the following documents that I'll mention. These can include copy of permanent resident card, front and back, birth certificates of children born during the marriage, joint bank statements with you and your spouse, joint tax forms filed with you and your spouse, joint lease and mortgage contracts with you and your spouse, affidavit sworn to or affirmed by at least two people who know you and your spouse since marriage. These persons could include family members. Divorce decree, if applicable. So, if you are filing as a divorced person, you would need to provide a divorce decree as a supporting document. If you are filing as a widow or widower, you would need to include a death certificate with your application. If you fall under the category of battered spouse or child, a police report should be included in your application. This ends our overview of Form I-751. Thanks for watching and catch you in the next video.